In this exercise, we're going to draw the feather at the end of this arrow. And we're going to do so using the line segment tool once again, as well as a little bit of cloning with the black arrow tool. I've saved my progress as linewithheart.ai, found inside the 04 line art folder. And this time around, I'm going to go ahead and grab the line segment tool once again, and I'm going to draw from the end of this existing line. And I might want to see where that end point is, since it's inside this circular round cap. And to select it, I can press and hold the Control key, or the Command key on the Mac, to temporarily get the last arrow tool I used, which in my case is the wide arrow tool. And then I'll drag around this area to marquee it so I can see where that point is located. There it is. All right, great. Now I'll release Control or Command, and I return to my previously selected tool, which was the line segment tool. And I will drag like so away from that end. And I'm pressing the Shift key. This is very important because I want a strictly diagonal line like so. And then I'll release to create that line segment. Now I'll drag from this location over, still pressing the Shift key, so that I'm drawing a strictly horizontal line in this case. Release when I get to this location. And now go ahead and drag from here while pressing the Shift key once again until you arrive back at this horizontal guideline. And then make sure that your cursor is just touching the guideline so that you don't go beyond it. And you'll end up getting this result. Now, that's pretty good, I think. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. I would have preferred that that point had snapped exactly to the guide, and it didn't quite do it. So I'm going to press the A key to switch to the wide arrow tool. And I'm going to click off the path for a moment to deselect it, because otherwise both anchor points were selected. And now I'll hover around until I find the anchor point. There it is. Click on it. And just in order to make sure that we get a snap here, I'm going to drag this point away from its previous location quite a bit so that we don't actually end up snapping to the old anchor point, which happens inside of Illustrator. I'm pressing the Shift key, by the way, to continue to constrain the angle of that drag so that we get a diagonal line the whole time. And now I'll drag back again while pressing the Shift key, and I should snap right there on the horizontal guideline. And you can tell you have a snap because your cursor changes from black to white. Again, make sure you have that Shift key down. Make sure that anchor point is right there on that line. Let go in order to create that side of the feather. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate one of these lines through the center of the feather. And I'm going to do that using the black arrow tool. So I'll click on the black arrow tool. Then I'll click on this path outline. And notice you don't want to just click anywhere in the stroke. You have to be right there in the center of the stroke. So look for that black square next to your cursor. Click on that path to select it. And then I'm going to drag the path over while I'm pressing the Shift key. And notice that I'm constraining the angle of my drag with the Shift key down. Keep that Shift key down. And then once you're ready to drop the path into place, I want you to press and hold the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac. And notice the change in the cursor. See how we now have two arrow cursors as a result of having the Alt or Option key down. So you have both Shift and Alt pressed, or Shift and Option pressed on the Mac, and release. And you will create a duplicate of that line. Now what I want you to do is I want you to change that stroke weight to 4 point, like so, because that's going to be one of the stylized lines through our feather. And then I want you to go up to the Object menu. This is really cool, by the way. Choose Transform, and then choose Transform again, or you can just press Control D, Command D on the Mac. What is D for? It's for duplicate, and it will duplicate your last transformation. So notice it goes ahead and moves the feather as well as clone it, the same distance that you moved and cloned before. All right, now at this point, I want to evenly distribute these 4 lines. They're not quite evenly distributed at the moment. So I'm going to draw a marquee through the 4 of them like so. And notice that I'm taking care not to marquee over anything but those 4 lines. And I get them all selected. And now I'm going to go up to the Control panel and notice that we have these various alignment options: horizontal align left, horizontal align center, and so on. And then we have some vertical align options as well. The ones we're looking for are these distribute options. We don't want the vertical distribute options, though. We want horizontal distribution. And that's going to keep the leftmost and rightmost paths where they are and distribute the other paths in between uniformly. So I'm going to click on this guy, horizontal distribute center, and things totally malfunction. What in the world is going on? Well, I'll press Control Z, Command Z on the Mac. And by the way, if you're working along with me, that might have worked just fine for you. Here's the problem if it didn't. I'll go over to this option, which notice is set to align to artboard. So I just brought the big old artboard into the distribution mix. I didn't want to do that, so I'll click on this down pointing arrowhead and switch to align to selection, like so. And then I'll click on horizontal distribute center just to make sure everything's distributed properly. And apparently I was closer to having it right than I thought, because just a little bit of shift happened on screen there. You might see a larger shift depending on how you drew the feather in the first place. And that's how we go about drawing the bottom half of the feather. In the next exercise, we'll join things together, we'll flip the top half, and we'll rotate this arrow into place.